Welcome back to the build tutorial for my wither suffocation setup. I will make a separate one for the wither rows, but over here we're gonna go over building the AFK suffocation setup. So let's just jump right into it. Alright, so to start off with, you want to find yourself one of these small end gateways. You could use the ones on the main island, but especially if you're playing with other players, I do recommend you go out into the far islands. Usually if you've got a few of these on the main island, you can find a generated one just through them in the far islands where there's a second one nearby, so there will be no loss in destroying it, because you will be destroying the usability of this as a gateway. Our first step is to remove our end tile that's in there. So to do that, you're going to get yourself a block that a mushroom can grow on here. So I'm using podzol, and then placing that right here, diagonally from that block there. And we're going to go up 7 blocks from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and directly above it, place another solid block. We're going to remove all of this, and then we're going to bone meal our mushroom until it eliminates this. Okay. Now obviously that takes a lot more bone meal in survival, so bring yourself a few stacks of bone meal. But you can see our gateway is now gone. So let's clear this thing up, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so the next step is we need to figure out which direction east is, or we need to figure out our directions here. So bring your carved pumpkin that you're using to avoid looking at the enderman, and the stem will always point northwest, and we want to know which direction east is. So when we're looking at this thing facing east, we want this thing to be on the east side of all of our redstone build. So let's get ourselves some just temporary blocks here, and we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks minimum. I'm going to go down 10 blocks just to make things nice and consistent with my Structura file. Now you could go 12, anywhere between 7 and 12 blocks down, and then a second row right here to match it, so that you are just below the bedrock here and just in front of the bedrock here. And that is for our cobblestone generator. Cobblestone generator is going to sit like this, and we're going to generate our cobblestone right here. To do that, we are going to need let's take a few stairs and some lava on me. Stairs to be this way, and our observers to be facing each other like this. We need some solid blocks on the observers. Then we can put some blocks down here, and so you're going to put some redstone dust like this on either side to activate our pistons, but we don't need that running just yet, because we do want to keep our cobblestone from generating up past this point for now. So we'll come back and we'll add that dust later, and I'm going to use glass as my primary building material. Fill that in around there, and just be a little block this in here to contain our water as well. Waterlog these two here and get our lava in. See, we've got our cobblestone generator working. Now before we start any of the redstone, let's finish off our wither containment area. So our first step is going to be Well, you need a lot of stairs, so I'll have the quantities in the description. And we're going to need a little bit of obsidian. And I'm using this obsidian as kind of a marker for the outside. So being in the second layer of the wall, it's not going to get destroyed by any skulls. But I'm going to make this little T shape right here. So this T shape is kind of the pattern for where you could place soul sand if you were doing this without the redstone. But it does just kind of let me know that that is the shape of the bottom of my gateway formation here on the inside. Right? And now you are going to use a lot of scaffolding while you're building this thing here, so obviously you can't fly around. But you're going to need yourself a lower stair and a hopper and some storage container. You could skip the hopper if you really wanted to. Lower stair, slab. So you want bottom slab here, and you can put a hopper under it. You don't need this collection, but what's going to happen here is our wither skeletons that spawn in at the halfway point, they're going to fall down just this half block onto this slab, and then they'll suffocate inside the bedrock here. And so we can collect some bones and some coal through this location right here. Right. And then we're going to surround all of this in obsidian. Now I prefer using obsidian for my second layer of floor to keep the water from the containment area from spilling out. Because it is something that is not waterlogged, and it's also very blast resistant. So just to make reduce the risk of you having some issues with waterlogging going on over there. So I'm going to waterlog this hopper as well, just again to improve the blast resistance of the hopper, and we'll come back and we'll waterlog this slab after we get a few other blocks in here. Okay. So let's just round this all, and we're going to have a 1 block buffer zone on the east and south sides of the gateway, and that's just because the wither has a bit of an offset in its block breaking. So if I make this 1 extra block wide, our wall is going to start here and here as well. Now, an extra thing you can do as well is we can add a bit more collection here. So if I put some hoppers in here, all this cobblestone that's going to get broken is going to end up flowing into our hoppers, and so we can make ourselves a little bit of a cobblestone generator out of this. Really slow, not something you actually want to use as a cobblestone generator, because it's expensive in terms of skulls, but there's no point in us not trying to collect that. So again, just like this, we're going to waterlog that shortly. Alright. Now we grab our stairs, and you are going to want to get yourself an infinite water source set up here. So we're going to start by placing this around here. Again, if this is north, our wall is going to hug this. Touch it here, and then coming around stairs facing outwards. On the south side, we've got a 1 block gap. And on the east side, we've got a 1 block gap for where our walls are going to be. And then we start the outer layer of wall. This, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a supporting block here, just so that I can reach in there and place that in. If you had scaffolding set up, you could have just used the scaffolding, but I have to place a few extra blocks because I'm in creative. And then we're going to just simply go around the whole perimeter with the stairs upright and facing inwards, so that once we waterlog them, none of the water is going to escape. Okay, now let's waterlog everything we've got here. Start by waterlogging your hoppers and your slabs so that you don't forget. Waterlog them. Let's fill all of this so that it's all source water. And that way we can visually verify that everything is waterlogged. Take care of our walls. Make sure we get this one underneath there. Okay. Now you can take your stairs or your slabs and let's get ourselves a nice floor to stand on. So we're going to place the stairs upside down. I like to place it so that the wall of the stair is facing inwards, just a little extra to make sure that the wither skeletons stay in place. Alright, so now we've got a nice flat floor to walk on. Make sure no items are going to get stuck. And now we carry on building our walls up. At this, I'm going to skip forward to the end. Just, again, make sure you get your stairs underneath placed early on before you block them in, and you waterlog them first. But we are going to go until we are one block above the bedrock, and then that's where our ceiling is going to get placed in. So I'm just going to fast forward through this, placing all of here, because you don't need to watch me do this. Alright, so here we are. I've got the walls built up. I've got my one block gap, and I'm just filling in the ceiling so that it is just one block thick, and we're going to waterlog it. There is one thing that we're going to change in all this, is we're going to remove this block over here. So this one block is the top left if you're viewing it from where we have our obsidian placed here, or it is the northeast corner, and that is supposed to be falling. Come on. There we go. So that floods down here to make sure that everything moves over towards where we have our hoppers. It also provides a little bit extra skull protection for the floor. It shouldn't really need that, but it also provides a way for you to get in and out, because anything we were to build in here would be destroyed by the wither, but a column of water you can swim up. So you can come down here, go over, pick up your stars that'll be sitting right on top of here, and then swim back up the water to get back out. So that's just our way of getting in and out, and the wither will continuously destroy that as it's suffocating. At this point, you have a completed wither suffocation farm. If you don't want to do any of the automation or the AFK stuff, this is complete. You have a cobblestone generator and your obsidian here, so you will be able to make sure that this thing is ready for you to summon a wither every time. You won't have to replace any destroyed blocks. You've got a box that's its sole purpose is to keep the wither skulls from destroying anything around you. So if you're building anything nearby, you would want this box. Although you could just skip all of this and keep it with your obsidian and your cobblestone if all you wanted to do is suffocate a couple of withers. If we were to place our withers in, or our soul sand in like that, and have some wither skulls, we'll show you spawned the wither skeleton in, and it has ended up right inside of here. Now, like I've said, don't punch it or it will destroy a much larger area and you'll have to rebuild all of this. If you get this to all flood, you're going to have to fill this whole box with solid blocks in order to keep the water from causing you problems. just because with all these waterlogged blocks around you, the water doesn't flow away properly if you were to accidentally flood this. Okay, so we're going to let that guy just kind of carry on with what he's doing, and we're going to start the rest of the tutorial for the automation. You could also keep it like this and do your wither rose farming, just attach it on the side, use a button to start the silverfish, and then manually spawn in your wither. That is another option if you didn't want to automate all of this. Now let's get started with getting ourselves set up for the automation. First things first, I should really make sure to remind you, place your redstone dust back there. As soon as you have this cage built, come back down here and place this redstone dust. I'll probably mention that a few more times because that is something that can break your farm if you don't have this cobblestone being regenerated. Alright, to start with, let's get ourselves some working platforms to place most of our redstone on. So counting down from our little containment box here, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks down. And if you are following the Structura file for everything that I'm doing here, you should end up in line with all of the glass here. And then we're going to go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, and we're going to build centered on that a 5 by 4 little platform to build everything on. Alright, and then above that here, starting at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks down, you're going to again build another 5 by 4 platform. 1 block up from that, you're coming 2 blocks out from your cobblestone, and you're just going to give yourself a little platform. And this is where the player is mostly going to be standing, so you're directly underneath the obsidian. So just give yourself a little bit of a platform to work off of, going 3 out from the cobblestone, and then 2 blocks here on our westerly side is plenty for you to work with. Okay. And now let's start putting the redstone in. First thing we're going to do is make our hopper clock timer for how long it takes the wither to suffocate. So starting from our little central line here, come an additional 3 blocks in, and that's where we're starting our hopper clock. We need a comparator on the end here and a comparator on the side. Both of those are going to go into solid blocks, and with a torch off to the right of where the comparator is. Now this torch here, we need a dispenser with some powdered snow into it, and this torch here is actually going to power our sticky piston right there. And the sticky piston is going to have a barrel or something that you can have just pull any kind of a signal from. So you just need to put anything inside the barrel for now. Okay. We need our redstone block here. And then we need our observer be looking at where this powdered snow is going to be placed. And that observer is going to then power our piston, which pushes this redstone block back. So let's get our piston set up here. And we need another piston over here that will do the pushing of that back. So we put in some supporting blocks here for a little bit of redstone, and we'll need another solid block and a torch onto that. Our comparator needs to read the input from this, and then we'll use just a repeater to make sure that powers off our torch. That torch is going to power a line of redstone dust that will run. We need it to come up flush with our little counting down here, so just before the cobblestone, and make that 2 wide, and we will come... Oh, we should do that right now, actually. We'll just run this redstone dust all the way to here, at the 2 wide section. We're making ourselves a comparator clock. This corner of this working platform, we are going to replace that with a target block. Okay, and that is good there. We need a solid block beside this piston to power it. And then looking into that solid block, we need our observer. Or powering that solid block, we need our observer. So that's going to push like that. Okay. Now let's just shove that back for now. And now this hopper clock is just about ready to go. Make sure that our powdered snow hasn't gone away. And we need 132 items in here. Okay, that's what 132 items looks like. Got 128 right there, plus 4. So that's going to be our timer for the wither suffocation. Now, just to make sure this doesn't trigger on us, I'm going to remove that solid block, or you could put yourself a lever on this. And that would keep this timer from triggering just until you get everything going, so we don't have any redstone firing on us. I did forget to do something here in this initial setup. We need a solid block right before this comparator, and that is so that we can place a redstone torch on top of that. And we're also going to place a redstone torch on top of our target block right here. Now on our working platform here, we need a solid block there, and we're going to have an observer facing that way, an observer looking into it, and what this observer is watching is actually going to be a couple more observers. So we're going to build ourselves up 3 blocks, and then you need to place 2 observers looking upwards. So you're going to have to come back down here and place 2 observers looking upwards, and then you can remove your temporary block so that we have this line of observers going on here. Okay. And then let's place ourselves some redstone dust right in here. And then we need some more supporting blocks right here, going 3 out from this observer and 1 more supporting block there. And then we also need, just in between this platform and our observer, let's place another glass block here. We need a solid block, and we need ourselves another dispenser with some powdered snow in it. So we've got our dispenser with powdered snow. Make sure I don't get that mixed up with anything else. Alright, and then we're going to go up again another level. So going up from here, we need to have some redstone dust on top of there, and we need our piston set up that's going to push all of the items up. Let's grab normal pistons in a T shape facing upwards, starting on top of that solid block and our observer here. Need some redstone dust on either side so that when these observers fire, they're going to power all of these pistons as the redstone transfers up this way. And we will also need ourselves a comparator facing into our droppers. Where are my droppers? We just need some droppers for this. This is going to be our timing setup. That should be actually right here. Droppers on either side of this, so that again we're powering our dropper with the counters. You may as well place your items in here now so you remember. And we need a solid block above this. So this setup here, once this triggers, our clock triggers, it's going to turn on this comparator clock, which resets our counter right here. And so now we need our comparator reading our dropper here, and we're going to need a few solid blocks. So a couple of solid blocks right there. Add a couple more solid blocks on either side here. And let's put some supporting blocks in over here, just for some future build work that we're going to have go on. And these two are going to get some torches placed on them. So now we need our little auto feeder over here. So we place our piston right there. We need ourselves something to hard power the soul sand that we place. So we'll put a repeater there and not red concrete. Put some redstone dust right there so that we're powering this. A couple more supporting blocks and some redstone dust. So as soon as anything gets placed here that can be hard powered, that's going to fire like that. Right? And then over here, we're going to use a piston on top of this dropper for some soft inversion, going up like that. And we're also going to place some obsidian, right in front of it. That way this can't push things too far. We also need to place ourselves a repeater on this block. And I'm going to get rid of some of our measuring blocks here. Put ourselves another solid block right here and a lever. And now this is your on-off switch. So when it's powered, it's on. And that's because this is going to allow us to power this soul sand, which then triggers our piston right here and turns off our torch. So that's how we're detecting when this thing is full up with soul sand using this here. So we're going to leave it off for the time being. And then we're going to need a couple more observers right in here. So for our observers, let's get ourselves observer facing upwards. That will be watching for our triggering coming from there. Observer facing over. Sorry, I am one block too high for that case. Standing down on our work platform here, place that observer up. What we're doing is we are triggering our sticky piston now. So this sticky piston will retract some of the soul sand. Let's get ourselves some more solid blocks. Place them on top of these two torches here. We'll need some redstone dust on top of them. Then we need a solid block on top of you into another torch, which is then into another dispenser with some powdered snow. So this powdered snow is going to be our toggle for this over here. And then need a supporting block. I believe we need a repeater right there. Should be good. Yes. That is our redstone circuit for all of this automation. So right here at the back side of this cobblestone, let's place ourselves a trapdoor to stand on, a trapdoor that we're going to use as a gate to hold ourselves in place. We're going to bring our walls out around ourselves to kind of help lock ourselves in. And I'm going to leave this upper one out so that I can access this barrel. And again, another block to hold us in place. And we are going to place ourselves a dropper here. And that's going to spit some items back at us. I place in a few more blocks just to contain all the items that it spits out. And this actually needed to be a solid block so that every time this fires, every time we place down some soul sand, it's going to trigger and it's going to spit us out another soul sand over here. Okay? And we can put ourselves a couple of hoppers on here, and you can put shulker boxes or chests on here full of soul sand. A little large Amethyst Bud right here. Again, that just makes it so that the player doesn't have much wiggle room once we're sitting in here. Now, as soon as I start placing some soul sand, if I were to have soul sand in here, you can watch it spit the soul sand back at us. So that's how we keep the player fed with soul sand while we're running this whole setup. I have 4 endstone bricks in here. As soon as I turn this on, that should all run, and it should have fired upwards. Oh, that's my problem. I missed our torch right here. So we needed to have a torch right here so that when this piston fired, we'd get a signal running back down there. So I forgot our torch right there. So now we need to fill this thing up until it is right here. And you'll see from that one triggering of all of this, that should have reduced by 1. I might leave this in. Yes, I have got something wrong. I believe I need my solid block right there, so that when we place a block in here, yes, now our counter's happening. So there we go. I forgot 2 blocks. And so test this thing out before you actually start summoning in withers, obviously. So we can see there that I missed a couple of the blocks in my build. I'm just going to check real quick and verify that I'm not missing anything else. I am missing another block here. So let's just demonstrate real quick, verifying that all of this is working. So we have 3 bricks in here now. Let that fire a couple more times. We're down to 1 more. Okay, so we see we've had a few things trigger here, and it's not letting us fire anymore. So now we know that our counter is working correctly. We can remove our extra blocks, but this down here has not triggered. You should see, oh, I gotta remove my lever. Anyways, this still should have triggered. Our dispenser here should have triggered. So the problem I had with that is that right there. I forgot this torch as well. You can see as soon as I did that, it pushed it over, and our counter is currently running. Our clock is running, and that has reset this. But also because we still have a signal coming from here, it is still locking us from being able to trigger this anymore. So by playing around with this a little bit here with your hopper clock setup, you can verify that it is working before you start summoning in any withers. So now that I know it is good to go, I'm going to turn off this power switch to make sure we don't accidentally trigger anything. And I'm going to come up here and work on our Wither Skull summoning setup. First thing that we're going to need to do is we need some dispensers. We need them to be 1 block above here so that our skulls are going to summon in right there. And then we are going to need some obsidian as well in a T-shape so that we can't push things too far. We're going to put our obsidian like this in a T-shape. We're going to remove this one out of the way. And we need ourselves a piston. Place it right here. Need a supporting block for our repeater and our power source block here to push in. And now we're going to put ourselves a torch onto that and a torch onto that. And this torch here is going to be, again, with our powdered snow. Now, I could be using something other than powdered snow. I know there's different ways of doing this. I built this originally before the copper bulb came out, but I trust this setup to not ever give me any false triggers if something is powered or not powered with the observer. And it's also, I'd have to change the form factor if I changed its setup here. So we've got our powdered snow bucket inside our dispenser that would be triggered once this comes off here. And we need our observer that's going to watch for that powdered snow, and anytime it changes, it will trigger. And then our redstone dust here that will fire off the wither skulls. Now that will be the whole setup for the AFK wither suffocation and summoning. At this point, you can farm your wither skulls, or farm your nether stars, I mean, and you have the setup done. So I'm going to make another tutorial for the wither rows set up separate from this, and you can just go through here, remove all of your temporary measurement blocks. Make sure that you have your redstone dust down here at your cobblestone generator, and make sure you've got your powdered snow in all of your dispensers, your counter blocks sitting inside this dropper here, and your 132 items inside your hopper clock over here. Once you've got all of that verified, just fill your dispensers full of your wither skulls. Fill this full of soul sand. And if you don't have a large amount of wither skulls you're working with, I recommend only putting enough soul sand in for the amount of withers that you can fire. It gets a little annoying if you have to fix the system because you overfilled it with soul sand and you don't have the wither skulls to fire off the wither. Alright, so that is the build. I hope you guys were able to follow that, and definitely make sure that you check out where I missed a few blocks in the main tutorial there, and just verify that you have this set up correctly. Summon only one at a time until you're certain that it's working. But once you have this thing built in your world, you should be able to get up to 120 withers per hour dealt with this thing here. So it's a decent way to get bulk nether stars if you're using them or using beacons as decoration, or you just want to have the full set of beacons at every build that you make. And guys, I'll see you guys later in the next tutorial.